Let's continue talking about what we were talking about backstage and before we got started because I'm really in. We really had some good dialogues. Now that we're live and on the air, but tonight, people, we are. Matter of fact, I'm Tony Renfro with Knowledge is Power Podcast Live, along with Unc, Chris Jones, Trisha Current Primo, and Terry Roy. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. Just something that we need to know in the community of Southeast Texas, Beaumont, Texas, the city of Beaumont, Texas, and we always talk about this. We keep kind of staying on topic on things like what's is it like? What is it like living in Beaumont? The pros and cons, and so it's a lot of our people do not attend council meetings or county meetings, so we want to keep you up to date of what's going on in our city, in our county, so that you can be aware of what's going on. So we can keep a real good dialogue on what's going on in our communities. But tonight, we really wanted to find someone that really can talk to us about the mud, MUD. Chris, would you explain the definition of mud?
Uh, MUDs are um, municipal utility districts.
Right,
That's
right,
what the acronym is.
right.
Municipal utility district.
And we don't have one in our city, but it's one is coming to our city, and we wanted to find someone to explain to us what is mud and how it would affect us by having a mud district in our city,
Right. What is
development
this
and
mud
construction. Yeah,
in particular?
yeah,
And what does it mean not only for um, the city of Beaumont, but those residents that this projected project is proposing? Um, and like you said, I for sure want some clarity. Um, and I'm quite sure there's a lot of other individuals that want clarity on not just, you know, mud, but this particular area that's in question for development, as well as the proposed whatever that, the developers of have addressed with city council.
yeah.
So
Uh,
Because one of them talked about it's going to be developed in Ward Two, but
right.
I had a gentleman come up and ask why wouldn't it be beneficial to put it maybe in Ward Four? Would it be beneficial to have it in Ward Four? Since we talk about building up, the city,
Right.
but
So,
the guy didn't. I don't think he answered that. So
well, also, if you're listening or watching, this mud district is going to be in Beaumont on the intersection of Delaware and Dowling Road, Dowling Street, I guess, and it's used to be an oil field, so that's like right across the street from HEB Superstore. So we got a lot to know and a lot to
I
learn.
do
We got
want to point out right fast, there is uh, I'm looking at out of my window a small funnel cloud from the east. So I do want people to be careful as of right now.
okay.
Uh, it's nothing really dropped, but there is a turn in the cloud, and
All
that's
right.
like southeast east, over by the I'd say like Air Liquide Navy base that's off of Martin Luther King Parkway. Old DuPont look like that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got a low
My
depression.
bad. Go back
We
to
got a
you.
little. We got a little depression in the Gulf right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
so that we
So
it's going to be a few days before they going to find out if it's going to develop it anything. Right now, it's 20% of chance of developing. With the warm water and the heat, excuse me, the heat out there, it is very very warm and very hot.
yeah.
And also tonight we're going to kind of talk about the candidates. Who's going to be the city manager candidates? That's down. The firm has narrowed it down to three, and we're going to talk about the one that we're favoring. of. And that's anything wrong, Chris. Yeah,
Man, I was like, oh, let's please talk about this city manager
yeah,
situation.
we're gonna talk about
Please.
the city manager, and also
I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
have Trish to talk to us about the brown water audit that we didn't get. I didn't get a chance to see it. Maybe you can tell us and well, make us aware of what's going on with that and what happened and what was the results of the brown water audit, because it should have been hush hush about it. And on the next Sunday, which is the 4th of July weekend, we will not be on the air, but next Tuesday, the first Tuesday in July, we'll be on. And the following Sunday, we will have City Councilman Chris Durio, Ward 4 City Councilman Beaumont will be with us as our guest. So, I guess we gotta ask someone, and right now we're gonna ask if anybody know that can explain to us, to contact us, that can explain to us what's the mud district is, and so we'll know what we're looking into before we start ad libbing on what we're gonna do over
Yeah,
here before we make our move. So
yeah.
we want to keep aware of that. And I don't think not very many people know about it. Really, really, really don't. So
There's
we
very few people always go to the council meetings. So
right. So
yeah,
we don't know, and I don't think they know really. I don't think the councils know what the district is. So with
yeah.
that is said, and so our topic tonight is what it's like living in Beaumont, the pros and cons. Trish, you want to tell us about the water audit?
Um, well, where do I start? Uh, while they were here, the most important part, I think, is while they were here, they inspected everything but the lobe well because that was shut down for some reason. Um, and one of the tanks, one of the elevated storage tanks. Um, during their inspection of the elevated storage tanks, they shut down the Dishman tank because nitrification was happening as they were standing there.
Mm, wow. I was in a conversation last weekend about that audit, about what the capacity of the city, and I was told. Now, I don't repeat this after me, but I was told that why we having so much issues, so much problem with our water and flooding, because the pump station not working properly.
Well, we're not pumping at full capacity by any means.
Hmm.
In fact, I'm told that we're at 70 psi, and that's not even considered a medium. Like that's below normal, um, and that's just because our system is old and it can't handle pumping at full capacity.
So why haven't we invested in new water pumps? I mean, why haven't we invested in new water pump in the
That's
city? I
a
mean,
good
we
question,
we we exercise our money everywhere else
and it was
unnecessarily. Why can't we just put in some new pump stations in here?
what's even worse is that back in I think it was '95, I found a study that was done where they came in and they explained to the city that we were going to have to replace the entire water system by the year 2021 and to have
And
it in place ready to go by 2020. And that was in 1995, and they've done nothing.
and we're
Nothing.
in and we're in year 2022, headed to 2023.
Uh huh. Yes.
I hope they get this message. I
What we do
hope they get
have.
this message.
Hey, Trish,
Uh huh.
if you would say say the date, the year actually, that they made those recommendations, if you
I
would.
think it was 1995. It was between 94 and 96, but 90, I think it was 95. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
It
Um,
was almost 20 years ago.
who
Well,
was
yeah.
who was the city manager at that particular time?
I believe it was
Mhm.
Kyle, but I wasn't
Yeah.
here, so I can't swear to it.
And I want to say he was city manager for 25 years,
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like
Okay.
that. So
So was that like his recommendation or a
No,
recommendation from some outside source?
this was some study that was done by an outside source.
So sort of kind of like the alleged study that they did for the water department in the past.
Yes, but I think that in '95, that the people that were here, I should have pulled it up. I don't have it in front of me, but I think that they had more, not credibility, but they were more well known than the Corona
Especially
people.
compared to who did the audit, the water audit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's two things that two people that I want to look at because of what you said. I want to look at back in those days. One, who was the city manager? So I'm gonna write my little post-it note because I want to know that. I want to know who the city manager was, and I also want to know who was the um, engineer of the city as well as who was CFO. See,
Well,
the majority of the times, those three people are who you actually have to go after to get things done in this city, especially to expose like the improprieties. You know what I'm saying? Like the things that don't look right. You may be sitting there talking that, but it time for I was saying this in the text earlier. Time for meeting for us is out. We have to start being active. And being that we see a lot of us and our liberties be mowed over without a blink of an eye and or emotion or emotionless individuals, it's time for us to act. So I want to know who was the city manager at that time.
in
I want
95,
to
it
know
was
who,
Ray Riley.
huh?
I'm seeing here on the webpage, well, a PDF, that it was Ray A. Riley in 95.
Okay.
And Becky Ames was a councilman at large.
Council at large, yeah. Becky was council at large in '95.
Guy Goodson.
Guy Goodson was the mayor.
John K. Davis was the pro
Uh huh.
tem.
Uh huh.
Calvin
Yeah,
Williams.
David was the mayor in
Uh huh.
'95. So
Yeah, David was the original mayor. That's
yeah,
when Guy Goodson had the interim position. This was during the alleged. Yeah,
yeah.
Guy
let's go there.
Goodman was Ward 2. Lulu Smith was Ward 1.
Ward
Becky
one, right?
Ames at large. Andrew, it's all blurry.
Poconos.
Conco.
Coconuts,
Yep.
Yeah,
He was
coconuts,
a at large. And then David Moore was the mayor.
David Moore was what?
Mayor.
mayor.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. That's why I pointed that out, y'all. I made point proven. You understand me? So like a lot of things that were mentioned and or in position for this city, especially from the 90s, the recommendations for this city in the 90s when we had not even David Moore as mayor, but when Evelyn Lord was the mayor, a lot of studies for this city, if you go back to the 90s, will tell you where we should have been in the early 2000s or what we should have been putting our money at in the early 2000s. I guarantee you me, the elders of our old city government and management damn sure would not approve no wasteful spending in a tennis center that we one didn't go to in the first place. Damn sure wouldn't spend no money on no road that we to lead from Parkdale Mall all the way to Major Drive, which seems like special interest with citizens' tax dollars. I guarantee you, me, these individuals would have never imposed these atrocities on the little money that the citizens of Beaumont pay. Now, this mud that we're talking about is alleged for $1 million homes. But you can't provide the individuals that's paying the daily taxes and the yearly taxes, not only to this city, but to this county. You can't provide us with potable water. I'm not going to say
You,
about what it looked like. I said
yeah,
it's not potable.
here's the other thing about the water. They compiled all the records together, and they were looking at aluminum and calcium and chloride and the color and the pH. And records were only available from February of 18 until November of 2020. There are none afterwards. So all of 21, when everybody was going through all the brown water and it was really hitting the fan, I don't know what happened unless you look on TCEQ's website, and there's the results that they say they never had.
So I'm glad you mentioned that also.
And we
Okay,
were in the red
so
for aluminum for
I
2 years in a
remember
row.
back in 2007, and I kind of sort of always I like to reference this because I want people to know the transparency that we had that we don't have anymore. The liberties of knowing the operation of your city, ins and outs, that we do not have anymore. Okay, so in 2007, I went to city council. I was living on Poplar Street, Poplar, like the tree. Um, so I'm asking, I'm like, why is it that I could go to my tap and it looked like I either have watered down Coke, I mean, or tea on my tap, and not to mention, council, it's oily, like greasy looking. I
Yeah.
don't understand that. Especially, you would not notice it if it's in a clear glass or a colored glass or one of them little plastic somethings from the dollar store, Dollar General, or whatever. You won't notice that in that. You have to like literally you have to put it in a brand new styrofoam cup. I wouldn't even recommend testing it on your tub because everybody don't clean their tub right. So
And well, here's the thing about the brown water. They've been telling us for how long now that it's manganese and iron and blah, 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 blah,
man,
blah, blah.
let me tell you
Our
something. That's not
manganese
what it
levels are
is.
lower than
So
they've been in a
so
long
Tristan,
time.
like that's 2007 that I'm telling you about this, right? Mind you, the transparency of the director at that particular time told me that the line, not on my side, the service line
Mhm.
that fed not only my house, but several other homes, the service line had collapsed. And there was no pipe involved, with the exception of the bottom portion of the crater.
What do you mean no pipe? Like where was the water? The
What
water
you
was just
mean? What
flowing
I
through the
mean no
ground?
pipe? The pipe had decayed. Mind you, I am
Oh
in
my
the oldest portion of Beaumont. I'm in the south end. I don't have like that flex pipe that they're putting in for majority of everybody now. I didn't. We don't have that.
yeah,
We
your
don't have
own
like
groundwater
regular
source.
manholes. We got the old school brick manholes all the way down. Yeah,
Yeah.
we got that over here. That's what I'm talking about over here.
Yeah.
So the line had collapsed, and over time, nobody ever knew and or had planned to replace the lines in this particular area. So in 2007, the director at the water department not only had an internal study to replace and repair, starting in this neighborhood, miles of of piping, sewer, and water. With that being said, uh, I ended up running for public office, and this neighborhood got scrapped altogether, especially because I live here in this neighborhood. And not only did I run for public office in this area, but I also advocate consistently for the residents of this area. Um, so yeah, that's been going on. And if you can tell us that there are some studies about um, corrective measures from 1995, then the city and citizens of Beaumont should reference those studies from 1995, because if it has us saying that in 2021 those things should have been done, um, it's 2023 come tomorrow, y'all.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
And we're not even a part of the other part of the report is where they want us to put in ClO2, CO2, which is I can't say the words, but it's a treatment that should take care of the manganese that's coming directly in through the water facility. The filters aren't working because the filters are filthy, and the filth from the filters is causing the pumps to run incorrectly. The pumps that are already old and taxed way to hell. Now we're actually killing them by not cleaning what we're supposed to be cleaning. Sludge, I mean, and this is still coming through to our water too. Right? If it's not being filtered by a clean filter, it's not being filtered.
Right.
So with the nitrification that was happening, that's basically when we feed the bad bacteria and we make it grow.
Right.
And we had nothing but positive chloroform tests last year in 2021, one right after the other. It's all, you look at TCEQ's website, it's all in red.
Hey.
Our aluminum is too high, it's in red. And they knew this.
Especially TCEQ Beaumont. Especially TCEQ Beaumont. TCEQ Beaumont has directives that were coming from Austin that they did not follow.
No.
That they swept under the rug. They swept it under the rug. They laying in the bed with the city of Beaumont, and they are killing people. And the whole time we sitting up here talking about we live in Cancer Alley, and the largest organ of our body is our skin, and every one of us submerge our asses in it.
Cancer, blue baby syndrome,
hair loss,
infertility.
Yes.
I mean, we may already be experiencing some of these. We don't even know.
Hey, talking about nitrification, and I'm not sure because I just thought about this. Whenever they say like the blue-green algae and stuff like that in the Gulf, isn't that from fertilizers, but the nitrogen in fertilizers?
That comes from a lot of things, mix of things. Majority of it is human feces, James.
Right.
No,
well, I'm just saying that nitrification doesn't it cause blue-green algae? Is that the same?
It can.
Or no?
It can.
Okay.
Especially if it,
and I just saw it earlier. I think maybe it was last night when I was looking at the website. We do have the component that it takes to make algae in our water that is present in our water. It's not above any limit, but it's there. So yeah, nitrification hits it, and there you go. It's growing. Plus,
right. Well, that's what I was thinking. It's dangerous on those levels as well. Then.
Yeah. The tanks are full of sludge. The tanks weren't cleaned. There was holes in one of them.
Right.
They tried to make it sound like we did something good by having half of them done. No, they should have all been done. That's rules and regulations that we can get shut down for.
Right. Well, yeah. They're not going to do that though. They're going to poison us instead.
They should.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well, they should have been doing some of the stuff that they were talking about over 2 to 5 years now. At least 2 years now on like the getting up to when is the raw water line gonna start? Whenever they're talking about the raw input line over there on Pine, when is that supposed to start? The secondary, because we're still stuck since Harvey in a predicament. If there is a hurricane, we will flood again. Possibility we can flood again. And there's no protection because they won't even spend at least $1 to $2 million building a barrier around the thing that we spent 1.9, I think it was $1.9 million to actually replace. Now we're gonna build another one, and then we're gonna leave the other one vulnerable, even if it's secondary or whatever else. We're gonna leave it vulnerable. Or if we shut it down, we're still losing 1.9 million that we invested after Harvey. Right, to redo the raw sewage, raw water intake over there. It was I think it was 1.9 because it's 800,000, I think, on the actual control panel, right? They got flooded, and then total, I think it was 1.9 for everything. So we're going to lose that investment there because we won't spend $1 million or $2 million to put a barrier around it, which they never should have put it that close to the river
in the first place.
Exactly, and then no barriers around it to protect it.
I want to say this: it's a reason that they try to neglect that particular place. They don't want that there anymore. And I'll say it again. I remember when Mayor Ames was on the campaign trail, and she said, "We have a plan to get back to the river. We have been trying to get back to the river for a long time."
I got you.
I can tell you that at the Pine Street location, the rapid mixed basin is located between settling basins 3 and 4. Flow is split between 2 parallel basins and dosed with 2 separate polymer pumps, but only one of them is in service at this time.
Yeah.
After mixing, the water is discharged to a common effluent channel to travel to clarifier basins.
Only one working.
We're working at half capacity. So I don't know how they're going to
Damn.
do anything over there.
Talking
Right.
about Loeb.
No, that's at Pine Street, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cost. Well, we do have a caustic tank at Loeb, but it's
Yeah.
not. It has no purpose there. But
Yeah.
Bart wanted the caustic over at Loeb. He was told by the people there at the time that there's no need for it. It's not going to do nothing, and he spent $200,000 putting it in anyway. It just sits there. But we've only
Wow.
got one working mixer at Pine.
Wow.
You know
And
what
let's-
amazed me? I went to. I don't mean to interrupt. I went to Austin, we're really Pflugerville, last weekend, and man, I turned on the tap and I actually drank the water from there. It was so
Yeah.
it was so good. I was like, so
Yeah.
wow, this is what tap water used to taste like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
So
mean,
sad.
I started to bring some back home and some bills.
Man.
You know, and that really sticks out to me when we had Mr. Getz on last week? Or no, the week
And I
before.
do apologize.
Yeah.
He kept saying the water's safe.
man,
I drink the water. The water's safe. How dare he?
man,
How dare
I
he?
missed that. I mean, I bet you he glad I missed that though. And that's, I'm not gonna lie, I love me some Allison, and I'm glad that she is getting better and recovering from her bout. So like I'm exceptionally glad about that, and I'll say I kept Mike up to find out about my friend. So thanks, to Mike. We do have differences upon opinions and facts sometimes, but I
Yeah.
definitely, I, I like the fact that he sharpens me with the way that he goes. So it's like yeah. So um, I'm mad that I missed that because when I went back and I watched it, I was like, ooh, ooh, the whole time. So yeah, especially when he said he drinks the water, and I'm like, again, there are a lot of things and that we may not understand,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to chemistry. But I know that when I put bleach with dishwashing liquid, the reaction is totally different than me
Yeah.
just put bleach out there or me just putting Dawn out there. You understand?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my mind should accept the fact that if I put chemicals in my body,
Mm-hmm.
the reaction it's going to take is going to be totally different than me just putting water on the street or me
Yeah.
doing a pressure wash on my driveway. It's
Right.
different when I put it on my body. I'm gonna tell. I have to say it again. This is the largest living organ we have,
Right.
Okay.
and it accepts everything that we do: rain, sleet,
Yeah.
snow, sleep, lotion, cologne, perfume. I mean, every sun, moon, night, everything. Come on, y'all.
Hey,
We can't believe. I mean, like,
we got about 2 minutes on this topic because we've got other things we need to talk about,
yeah, absolutely.
discuss. Okay,
We
but
definitely
one of our audience member is asking. Well, now she's saying you all should be participating in the opportunity to tell the Sunset Commission about the issues in
Yes.
Beaumont.
I was supposed to go and I couldn't make it because of work. Yes, that's very important.
Yeah, it
I
is
was
very important.
definitely in Austin this past weekend, but had to come back to Beaumont. Thanks, Gayla, for representing Beaumont. Definitely on one of the representatives of Beaumont that was there. Probably, I would say maybe the boldest that went. And I appreciate you. And also checking up on my moms as well.
Yeah.
So again,
I
agree with what she's saying,
absolutely.
especially with the TCEQ being governed under the Sunset Review.
What
Right, so
what I
she's-
want to add before we change the subject is it is extremely important that the citizens of Beaumont know what they're putting into their bodies, that they know they're being lied to. It's right here in black and white. These people they don't know us from Adam. They didn't come in here and lie to us. They uncovered a couple of lies though, and they've got recommendations here about making sure things are done properly and cleaned.
Yeah.
How are they not clean? We pay them to do these things. They're
Yeah.
not doing nothing.
We
They have to
pay,
be aware of what's going on.
yeah, we pay them for the positions that they're in, but yet they don't have the knowledge even to do it. So they
They're not
hire
listening.
outside contractors and companies to figure out what the problem is. If you're in that position, how can you be in a position and you do not you don't know everything about it?
You got
Because they're putting in their friends and their buddies and
right.
who they think would be okay and this and that. However, those people do not have enough education in anything that they actually do. I say probably 80%, if not more, of the individuals in administration, management, the legal, everything does not give a damn about the city of Beaumont's citizens. They
No,
care about protecting the city of Beaumont and their jobs more than anything. Well, if the city of Beaumont fails as a business, because trust me, a government is a business, they bring in money, that's what they do. If they fail at their position, therefore, then they lose their job. They're going to do anything possible to protect their job. I don't care if it's lying openly to your face; they will lie to you 100%.
absolutely.
Beaumont,
It's documented.
Texas.
It's
Beaumont,
documented
Texas.
daily off of the stuff that we pull off of open records.
People have to become involved. We have to stand up for ourselves. If we don't,
Yeah,
we're never going to get out of
you
this.
got people got to get pissed off because the
Yeah,
deal is all this getting positive and staying positive is not going to work. They do not give a damn until
they're
you start slapping the snot out of them and start actually making a move and get the hell out of office.
they're
Because
Yep.
until
intentionally
that
feeding us
point, they're going
lies.
to do what they want to do every single time until they get removed, and that's it. It's a buddy system.
The lies work. They just keep on doing it.
I,
Yep,
Well,
I
as
would
long as they can get away with it.
I do not promote physical assaulting anybody to get the point across. I do not. We, the knowledge
There's
is
every
power,
level.
says we do not promote physical
okay. You're gonna have
altercation.
One of the
Uh,
reasons I think that citizens do not
Well,
you're
really
gonna
want to get
have me
involved.
put you
well,
gonna
we
have
let
me
me
can't
get
adjust
say
my let me
you're gonna
adjust
have me
my
get
beard
put in
real
you're gonna
quick.
have
but
me
we
get
do
put in
promote,
Facebook
I mean,
jail, man, on that,
Let
that,
me
that
yeah,
being active and being in the know
let me
with
adjust my
the
beard because
yeah.
especially
myself, I'm tired of them.
Listen,
And
one of the
I'm
reasons
stupid
why
tired of
they
them.
don't want, why
to
citizens
be active.
are leery about getting involved and speaking up for
Yeah,
themselves is
Yeah.
because they've watched for the past 3 years as a handful of us right here go before
yep,
city council and we call them out. We get on Facebook, we talk shit, the whole nine
yep,
yards. And they get up there in front of everybody and they call us liars and they question the
yep,
things we say and we're spreading
yep,
falsehoods. Okay,
yep,
we've got proof. We're not the liars. We're not the
yeah.
ones causing trouble. We have to
They
let
will
everybody know.
openly tell you everything that you're reading from professionals is a lie, and they're actually telling you the truth. Basically, that's exactly what they're telling you.
Yeah.
They're telling you all the research that's been shown and copies of and public information doesn't matter because they're telling you the truth. That's what they want you to know
Yeah.
because they're your representatives to trust.
Well, they mess up
Trust
the
them.
story
Don't
Also
three
trust
times
said it
anything
right
else.
talking.
there. Also
Don't.
said it right there.
Yeah.
Involve the feds. Period.
Yeah, also saying that. Also
Period.
saying.
She been
Yes,
do
that's
that.
involved the faith.
And whether we realize it or not, the feds is sort of kind of your local appointed agencies.
Well, I
The
actually have
Fed
a,
is governed.
EPA investigator who's looking into things right now.
Yeah, the
Well,
Fed governs
well,
TCU,
okay, guys, we're going to
regardless
move on
of
to the
we got
next
one or
section. We're
not.
going to move
So
on to the next subject. We're going to move on to the next subject. Beaumont, Texas, been stagnant for the last 15 years, 16 years, 17 years, 18 years. And I'm correct.
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And we've had some of the same people in position for so
Yeah.
long, and
Yeah.
we have not gained traction on anything.
Yeah.
We have not grown. We have not put diversified jobs in this area. We have not. There's so much we have not done because we had people in place that did not have a creative mind. So tonight we're going to talk about the candidates for the city manager.
Oh.
The
yeah,
COB, the council. They hired a consulting firm to research and seek out the best candidate. I think they started with 48,
50.
It was 50.
50. They went down to 24,
I only read
and
one.
now we're down to 3.
It was only
Let me just start here with this.
We're
This
down
is
to
the
3.
same
But look,
council that let Kyle walk away with his head held high.
yeah.
Maybe
But
they
listen
can
to
Yeah.
cut
this.
this one out.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Yeah.
we have a candidate. I don't know. This is me. We got a candidate that needs to be. We have a candidate that's qualified
Hmm.
to be the city manager of Beaumont, Texas. Now we're down to three. I said one.
I'll
It's
say one.
I'd see one.
Well, I do say two. I say two.
I see one, and
See two.
I know that they are leaning on the the interim city manager, which is not the answer.
No, he's definitely not the
No,
It's
one.
not the answer.
But
Wait,
that's
no.
what? Who leaning on him?
I said they're leaning on. I mean,
that's
there's
yeah.
there's a
In other words, don't be surprised.
they are
Listen,
don't
I
be
Yeah.
fully
Okay, I
expect
got
Chris to
you.
be
right,
sitting
but
I
there.
heard you. I heard you.
yeah, but what
In
I'm
other
saying,
words, yeah, I heard you.
but what I'm saying is that we
Yeah.
have a real qualified candidate
Mm-hmm.
that is highly skilled,
Mm-hmm.
visionary, is a
Mm-hmm.
visionary leader that has worked collaboratively with the city councils in creating and implementing statistics plans, having modeled one of the best cities in the country with an
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exceptional
we talk about
quality
the
of
same
life.
one. We talk about the same
Y'all
one.
just
Uh,
say who it is. Just say it.
I am. I'm gonna get to it.
Yeah,
I just want to give
I
you.
was
I
just
just
about
want
to
to
say
make
you
sure
might as
you
well
know
go ahead and
who's
say who it
qualified.
is.
He's a successfully managed an ever-changing organization to one that is the most respected in local government, financially esteemed in the profession, in having the utmost skills in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
management, integrity,
Mm-hmm.
integrity, ethics, and trust in having been chosen by
Mm-hmm.
peers as president of the Texas City Management Association and elected to the board of the International City Council Management
So
Association.
who we talk about? Say who you talk about.
I am talking about the candidate Kenneth
Yep.
R. Williams.
Yep.
Hmm.
Listen to this,
Hmm.
and let me do that, make the
Oh,
audience hear what I'm
like I
saying
said, it's
here.
two of
This
them.
gentleman has 15 years as a 15 years veteran of a city manager in Texas, highly skilled in city planning, economic development, and personal leadership. Now, from 2008 to 2022, the city of Buda in Buda, Texas, in serving under the provision of the Buda City Council, was the chief executive officer of the city of Buda, supervised the day to day operation on the city in appointing directors, preparation of annual budgets, and monitoring to assure the goals of the city council and administration are completed. Buda, the city of Buda, experienced a 200% population growth, great financial steps to stability, with the passage of two voters approved bond packages and progressive financial rating and develop an excellent quality of life. We've got a gentleman here, guys, that can take us to another level.
Yeah.
And I hope that our listeners and our councils and our government is listening as well.
I
Don't
beg to differ.
blow this.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I think he has immaculate accolades here in the state of Texas. There are some associations that I find contrary with Mr. Williams and my past city council and my past city council manager. Um, yeah. So I mean, like I said, there are two good people on there, but Mr. Boone, I don't, and no shame to me. I'm gonna go down the list. You already know me. No shame to Mr. Boone. I find great um, access through Mr. Boone sometimes. I did say sometimes, but I like when I say access, I want to move through there like Interstate 10, baby, with no toll road. You understand that?
Yeah.
Uh, and I see Mr. The things that Mr. Boone is like sort of kind of implementing as interim, and those things are bringing us right smack dab back to where we was with our
Yes,
current
yes,
city
yes.
manager.
Right, right.
That's because
Um,
he was. This was the city. That city
of
managers
course,
wanted
and
this.
I don't believe, and I don't believe he has
expertise to take us where
Nope.
we need to be.
Right.
Well, that, and
Mr.
he's set up to be the
Williams,
fall guy.
like I said, Mr. Williams would be my second choice. My first choice would be Mr. Lyons.
But tell us about Mr.
Any
Lyons.
man, and I will say, any man that stands flat-footed and says that he belongs to the oldest advocating network in America, known as the NAACP, on your application, sir, that stood out to me the biggest.
But
I mean, that was like
okay,
the Robbins chest for me.
give me
Then to
something about
go
Mr. Lyons.
into the, I mean, like I said, his resume is extremely impeccable as a civil engineer and a person that understands how to manage and govern in that space. I'm not a civil engineer. That's not what I do. But as we were talking earlier about mud and how to introduce that to particular areas or to particular industries, like, yeah, I don't know. Again, no shade or shame to Mr. Kenneth Williams. That was my number two. I would definitely like for Mr. Boone to either go back to where the department that he was governing with the
I'll be
city
fine.
and become a little
Thank
bit
you.
more accessible in that position.
No, completely be
A lot
removed.
more accessible in that position.
Yeah, no, for real.
They said they completely removed.
I'm sorry. Anyone
Yeah,
who's
I
involved
have.
in what's
I
going on
bought.
had
Hey,
to go.
I hope
see that's the difference. My
I
thing
mean,
is,
I hope
I
he-
barred none. I barred none whenever it comes to anybody that's in management and administration. Right now, they all need to be removed 100% because
Amen.
they're the old guard to an old established Beaumont. They all need to be removed. They need to stop that buddy system. I might be the only one on the panel that's the pissed off, aggressive individual, but I'm really tired of these folks up there, and I want to drag them out by their heels. That's
I'm
just me,
aggressive.
though.
I'm just
Because
trying to be
my
respectful.
deal is
I
because
feel
they're
you, James.
screwing,
Yeah, James
they're
started
screwing,
insurrection.
they're screwing the city of Beaumont. They're screwing the citizens of the city of Beaumont. If I get up there, you can bet this 100%. I'm gonna expose all this BS every single meeting. They will see hell through me because I'm not gonna sit there and be none of their buddies. There's no point anymore to allow them to keep on screwing the city
They all
citizens.
know what they're
That's it.
doing.
And
All
Chris Boone needs to completely be fired because he is no kind of community development supervisor. What part of the what part of the Black, Hispanic, Vietnamese, or Asian community has he developed? If it's not the West End of Beaumont, what have they done?
When you had a city manager and a CFO that was snatching money, cooking books, what can you do? And I'm gonna say that again. You had a CFO that almost,
I understand.
The city manager almost ran this girl freaking crazy trying to cook them books. You understand me?
Mm-hmm.
I bet that.
I mean, she literally had to like resign and check her ass into a mental facility.
I'll tell you a quote from. I'll tell you a quote.
I guess stomach that. But
I'll tell you a quote from Mike Getz. Why don't y'all remove Kyle Hayes? He says, because he's the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
Of who? Y'all ain't even looking. So I can't understand this council.
This is the thing. The lesser of the two evils is their man against us.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
If
you can get a city manager that will play ball against the people for your own benefit, why not keep the lesser of the two devils?
I read that. I didn't even hear him say that, and I heard you, like if that's quote end quote, you calling us evil, dude.
Straight up.
Like because we oppose the wasteful spending and the lack of transparency, the lack of access.
I pulled records.
That's crazy.
I pulled records on how much they spend. They spend on grass and mulch, and I think it's annually. And I got I'll have to read over it because they sent that included with other reports that I got. But if they spend annually, like they're on a contract, like they're not even bidding this out to anybody else. They spend $60,000 each year on mulch and grass. If that's what that thing says, because it says it right there on this printout that I have.
Man,
If that's what they say, $60,000 annually,
I'd rather
we
have
need to
clean those
start
water
swapping to
purifiers.
another plant.
they
We
must
need
be,
to go to
okay, they
perennials
cooking them
that
books
don't die
because
every year. We
they
need to
cooking them
save that
books.
60K, and we need to start building sidewalks, one sidewalk at a
Oh
time
no,
with
no, no,
60K.
James, no,
We need
James,
to do
because the
something
public,
other than
the
spend it on
review that
flowers.
this neighborhood is, the review, the public access review that this neighborhood is doing that I was telling you about. There was a piece of it that the neighborhood association shared with a member of city council. So it was an email that I got tied into along with the neighborhood association, got tied into asking about specifics of this particular piece of its entire review. Now, mind you, this review goes about access, public access throughout and in this entire neighborhood, including railroad tracks and underpasses, overpasses, because there aren't one here.
No.
Only flat street we have is Nature Street, and that's because, watchers, ladies and gentlemen, the city of Beaumont approved to close Pearl Street as well as Main Street. Now, mind you, these two streets run at the back side and the front side of Jefferson County Courthouse and the City of Beaumont Police Department.
Yeah.
Mind you, these two streets, ladies and gentlemen, are the two highest streets accessible into this area. And that was before the closure. That was before they redid the street behind Jefferson County Courthouse, and they redid Main Street. That was before they redid Main Street. All of Main Street was high. Because again, like I live what is called the higher island or the higher land of Beaumont. So you cut all of us, including industry, off of free access throughout this community. Right now, we're threatening a tropical depression. Don't know what's going to happen in a few more hours. We also remember what we saw prior to Harvey a few years back, and then what we saw during Harvey when it finally reached land. So, I mean, like all of this stuff to me, especially like when it comes to a city manager, that shit matters. And excuse my expression, that matters to me. Yes, I feel, and several other individuals feel, that the only reason we have not flooded out here in the South End, and many others who are around us haven't flooded out, is because there are underpasses placed throughout this area. We believe that, and if that's if that's not the case, you're gonna have to prove us wrong. But that's what we believe. But we also here in this particular neighborhood feel that you are intentionally restricting us because you only give us an underpass to cross.
Yeah.
And that's if I'm accessible in a vehicle, or I have to use an electric wheelchair in order to get around. I'm gonna say it again. Citizens with disabilities and assistive devices have to cross through an underpass in order to access the rest of this city.
Okay.
If that's not, like you said, James, if that's not racially biased, and should piss you,
it's 100%.
But we got off the
again, like I said,
we got off the subject a little bit.
No, it's based on the city.
It's still addressing the city manager's
That's
position.
why I said Mr. Lyons is my pick for city manager, and I have yet to speak to him.
I don't think Chris Boone.
If you go back to read, just like I did with Mr. Williams, that's why I said Mr. Williams got ties to cut through. Same ties, that same good attaboys that my city manager had tied to. I don't want that.
Well, that's the same. That's the same with Chris Boone. Is he's going to be in that same? He was already in that same little group before he was then considered as somebody to take on as a city manager's position. So he was already in the clique. Why elevate him for the rest of his life until he retires. Because
Right.
once you get into a city of Beaumont position, they won't let you go regardless on how poor of a performance you do, because they're so tied into each other as
Listen,
buddies. They cannot
stop
walk into
playing.
their
Stop
office
playing. The
and say,
city of
you know
Beaumont
what,
don't have
you're
major.
you're
The city
performing
of Beaumont
poor,
do
you
not
got to
have
go
major
home.
individuals, and I'm just going to be honest. The city of Beaumont, and again, like I said, I do have political aspirations, but truth shall make you free, set you free is what
Yeah,
it said.
yeah,
There are no major players of the administration in the city of Beaumont
nope,
that are reflective to my color.
yeah,
Period. That
100%.
knows the need and or
Oh,
desire
hold on.
of us
And
as
and
individuals on the
and
east side of the
add
city.
this, Chris. Hey, add this. I got the list of all the employees underneath the that are hired on by the city of Beaumont, and pretty much 90% of the administration, management, all the upper positions live out of town. They don't give a goddamn about
Correct.
Beaumont anyway. They
Correct.
do not. They want that paycheck.
Whether
That's
they were
it. And all of them
involved
are
or not.
friends. Huh?
Whether they were actually actively involved or in charge or not, they're all aware of the BS that
Yep.
goes on every day around here,
Yep.
and they do nothing about it. They gotta go.
Yep.
Every one of them.
The legal department hides everything for BPD. They actually interact with each other on trying to protect the city of Beaumont by any means necessary. The management is in line with that. Chris Boone was part of that management as the community development supervisor. You're not developing 2/3 of Beaumont, which is the minority community. You're not developing that on the same track as you're doing the 1/3, which is the West End. Regardless, if you look at the West End as predominantly white, mixed, or however you look at it, you're still catering to just the West End. Oh, well, they pay more in taxes. 2/3 of Beaumont pay for everything that goes on in the city, in the West End. There's no way ExxonMobil, Lamar, downtown lawyer corporations, and all that are not pulling in tax revenue that's taking care of that particular set of Beaumont. And this is third ward and fourth ward that we're talking about that has, I think, the most tax revenue. However, you're taking care of the West End as much as you can with ridiculous things like long sidewalks that nobody does anything but jogging on. They can jog in their neighborhood, they can jog in the track and field things
And
by them,
we,
the hike and bike trails, but
yeah,
yet communities can't get 20
right,
foot strips of
right.
sidewalk over.
Right.
And
The
this
response
has to
from the
do with
interim city manager
community
was that we don't
development.
have the money.
This is community development, right?
Right. He has access to allegedly community block development funds. And if this individual, and just like my city councilman said, didn't we put curb and gutter throughout this area with CBDG funds? If you got community block development funds, if you have access to whatever grant you repave Dowling Road as many times, you could damn sure do it for the other side of the city with your body.
Ward 1.
And that's why
Hey,
he's like I said,
Ward,
go back to where you are.
I'm going to give you two comparisons on that right there, Chris. Ward 1, while Virginia Jordan was a Ward 1 council member before Taylor Neal took over. So Virginia Jordan, they were able to get $1.9 million spent on Ward 1 for road and drainage, right? So, and there could have been other things put in there. But what the city did was sent out our city guys that do the street. They didn't remove loose rock in between the cracks. They just poured tar directly over and then put asphalt. So there was plants that I took pictures. I posted on my Beaumont, Texas information station where there was weeds that were still growing up in that same spot. They didn't even spray and kill the weeds. They laid tar and asphalt over plants that were growing up through the roadway. They didn't remove the loose rock, soil, whatever else. They just poured it directly over. How
It's
good of
not
a
like they
job
don't
would
know how
that
to do that, by the way. It's not like that they're not informed that that's not how that goes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and then they did brand new gutters where they hired an out of town company from Houston, Texas, to come here, rip up gutters down Ashley and Long and a few other areas, right over there near what is it? It'll be 9th Street, right? 9th and 10th and 8th Street. So they ripped up the gutters, reblocked them, like put concrete culvert in, everything else for new drainage. but they kept the old drain lines. So the old drain lines that are heavily clogged with oak tree roots, the lines are broken and everything else. You're just adding more water to broken lines underneath, where they got to send out a vacuum truck every time that it has a heavy rainstorm. They send out a vacuum truck out there to pump out all the debris just so the street can drain. Who does that? City of Beaumont. Who has the mindset? The community development that live. He's the community development supervisor. Chris Boone lives on Evelyn, the next street over, and the street behind him floods every time that there's a heavy downpour. There's videos of it. So the same block he lives on, the next street over, floods almost a foot deep every time it rains heavy, because the drainage is needs to be redone. But there's brand new rain gutters. There's storm drain for $1.9 million. They did not replace the lines. They just replaced the opening. So it's like replacing your mouth, but not replacing your inside. So they're adding to.
Now, we cannot blame the city council and that for that, because they're not doing the work.
I blame lack of management. I blame lack of supervisors that are not supposed to be in the positions that they're in. I blame, like, Mike Harris is not really performing great in the streets and drainage, or in anything with the sewer and whatnot. So there's only 10 hot spots, is what he says. There's only 10 hot spots around Beaumont that have active problems. BS. But he's another placement. He's another buddy placement. And then there's Michael Tidewater, that I've been trying to get back and forth with him and Mike Harris to find out the MLK, how it's sinking, and it's been sinking for a decade right there across the way from Lee Street and Van Buren. So it's depressed, right? It's dropped down about a foot, maybe 6 inches to a foot. They say, oh, well, that's nothing to do. I'm reading the engineering maps, and I need to actually look at them upside down. So north now should be south, is how he told me I should be reading it, because I'm reading the engineering maps wrong. I used to do leak survey. I used to manage maps. I used to do this for the gas company that had to have everything drawn by standards of the Railroad Commission, so they can go back and look at it and make sure things are 100% or they'll be fine. The city of Beaumont is full of incompetent idiots. Plain and simple.
We're all accountable for that, because the city council is above these people, and we are above city council. We don't keep city council
and we need to remove a lot of city council
for them.
Yep.
So have y'all approached city council with this issue?
I have put up posts.
I've sent them all emails.
I've sent.
I hadn't heard back from none of them.
They don't answer nothing.
You're not hearing back from your councilman?
No,
I haven't heard back from none of them, and I've sent them all the same information I'm telling you right now. None of them have gotten back to me.
This year, and not one of them said so much boo.
I hear back from all of them.
I've sent either email or text.
I've sent emails. Yep.
I do get a response from one and or two of my elected council.
No, it's sad whenever it comes to city business.
It's not always the same one. I will say that.
I got the executive assistant to city council.
I do hear back from them as council. Now, also addressed in this email is management and the department head, and maybe the person of engineering. And the reason I do that is so that nobody will say, well, Chris, I didn't know, or Chris, I didn't have, access, or nobody told me that. You lying.
Yeah.
Go either you go to your spam box, take me out of spam.
Yeah.
And or as you communicate about a lot of things, but you know what? I really do believe that the standard of the management of the city is to don't communicate with the other departments. I can't see
because it's a don't ask, don't tell
day, and
yeah,
they don't say, oh, it's leaking over here on, or they don't say, hey, there's a big old pothole over here on.
Or citizens call in and complain about certain things, and the answer is, oh, it'll work itself out later.
No, when citizens complain,
I'm serious.
And don't get me wrong, I've gotten this a lot of times. They'll have the 311 call, but they won't have the work order. Oh, it never. We
They
never
don't even
received
put it
that.
in the 311 database because you can't find it anywhere.
I don't understand.
And
I
Y'all know
literally,
that
they're even a
supposedly
311 database.
literally, a
I got a
citizen in
new.
Dallin West called last week and said, "Why is my water slimy and there's white foam to it?" And they were told that the city received chemicals that were a higher percentage, but it was okay. It was going to work itself out by the end of the day. Huh? Oh,
That
what?
is, but it would work itself out. Technically, what they meant was when humans use enough of the water, it
Right.
should dilute
When you're
enough.
all done being poisoned, it'll be all right.
That's it. It will work
my
itself out.
guess
How
is,
will a water faucet work itself out without using it, turning it on,
How
and
the
running
hell
the water
are you going to
in your
say
on
with
the
a
city
higher
manager?
percentage
for
of
your cooking?
chemicals?
What's y'all take
Yeah.
on the city manager? On the 3 individuals that we have up for manager.
I like them both, but I'm convinced that Chris isn't going anywhere. I don't see it happening.
I don't
I'm
believe he
listening
is
to the
either.
community, and
Hey,
I don't see it happening.
Okay, so
if he does,
with
I
majority of
can
us
bet
saying
you
that,
this: there'll be hell to pay because the dude
with
ain't doing his
majority of
job
us
in
saying that,
community development.
how do we engage the populace? How do we
Who
engage the people?
We need to
Put
have a
that
meeting.
power back into our hands. Who
We
are
need
we
to
going
rally
to
together.
as a
oh
What
okay,
as
say that,
can,
Perry?
okay
people who have to be managed here?
before we do that, can let I know I'm not in Beaumont, but I know I can speak for a lot of folk in Beaumont by first saying, okay, who's choosing?
Yeah.
What's the process
Council,
for
the
choosing?
council is
The same
choosing.
ones that let Kyle walk out with his head held high.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Same buddies.
the city council is choosing. So now we can at least let the people know who's finna make the choice.
Yeah.
I know we know, but I'm just saying it's people next door to you don't
They
know
don't
how
know.
the next city manager, if they even know the city manager job
Yep,
is
Right,
enough.
right.
So,
yep,
Yep.
That's
so
the problem right there.
yeah,
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
So I wanna approach this like I'm dumb and just really
Right.
I mean not dumb in the sense that I don't just in the
Okay.
sense I don't know.
So I see where you
Yeah.
going, big bro.
We need
So
to
so
mass
the
communicate.
city government is managed with a mayor and a manager, and then you have two at large council, and then you have each represented ward council. So each individual has each resident registered voter of Beaumont, Texas has 4 votes in local elections. Those 4 local individuals, along with the rest of council, regardless of the 4 you elected, with the rest of council, makes the decision on who is the next city manager. They also makes the decision on how the city manager operates. Now, once that city manager is installed, him and or her and the mayor, him and or her, works collectively on managing the city.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But
So okay.
what they also said was the city manager actually has full control over it.
Yes. We're a
But
manager strong
he,
setup.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if we put the wrong city manager in because we've got the wrong council in right now, it's going to be at least 2 years before we can get another council in there and hope they do the right thing. And by then, 2 years is a
well,
lot of time when you're
so
destroying
yeah,
shit.
okay.
well,
So again, okay, before we start talking, I know I hear the passion. Okay, so if it's going to take a new city council to do this, then the city council has to see reason to put it on the agenda, because if they don't see it as a reason, that
yeah,
person
but
will stay in there, right?
You could tell them till you're
they'll
blue.
stay in there for life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So
There's
so now
no changes.
we
They
know.
don't do enough evaluation. They don't do a true
Right.
evaluation of a
The only
performance.
reason Kyle left is because it's about to hit the fan and he
Right.
knows it.
Yeah.
He
Everything's
bailed.
about to fail. So Kyle burned out.
Yeah.
Same thing with
Okay.
Ames. Realize this: Ames went out, Kyle went out, and then
The
Cooper went
attorney.
out.
Yeah.
The whole
Okay.
top the whole top that had anything involved with all the dirtiness of Beaumont, they all burned out when they could.
Okay.
They did it
Okay. So
properly,
let
right in
me,
time.
Okay, so let me get down to the short bus and 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 the folk who can't see straight on this.
Me.
So if I'm new to this
Mm-hmm.
and I'm new to my job, I ain't really trying to cause no waves. So I'm gonna try to work with the folk that's in there, and so therefore, if I just learn the system, then I really don't see, and this guy's and Kyle has kind of helped me along the way
Yeah.
through the system. So okay, he a cool guy, and I see it. We all about maintaining our job and our self-preservation. So
That's
again,
it.
city
Survival.
council doesn't want to lose this job.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to
Yeah.
admit it's wrong.
So the best way to keep my job is not really to make any decisions that really could put me on
No,
a
but
road.
Rile things up.
nah,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
But what it
You
is
would think no,
weakness.
that's what we would think, right? But people don't hold the people. People are the problem. People do not hold the council individual members to the highest standards for representation of the people, not of the city.
Yep.
They hire.
Okay,
Mhm.
Jay. Let me explain what I was saying. I was speaking as a city council.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is
So,
people don't.
or any elected official, my first job, my number one mission is self-preservation.
Right. They will
And the
tell
rule
you
of
anything and
self-preservation, don't
everything.
make any decisions that will cause anybody for you to come under spotlight. So understand, if the city seems to be working, there's no need to change city manager. And I understand this. And so people don't really equate that to, yeah, you keeping this system the same and the system is continuing to screw you. And you saying you don't know how to fix it. And it's quite simple. Yes, it's your vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then
Well, the deal is,
People to
the
run who
second
should be
part of
running.
that is your demand.
what's that?
The second part to that is your demand.
True.
And so I don't hear that demand part.
Right.
I'm
As a
saying that
collective voice, we don't have
I'm
enough.
saying that for a lot of cities. I'm not just saying that to you guys. I'm saying that about what I see here.
Right.
We don't see the demand. I mean,
Right.
we get black people saying that same thing about the Democratic Party. We didn't help them. We didn't help them. Where was the demand?
Right.
You had an expectation.
Right. But nobody's going to do nothing on their own the right way in these positions. They will not. They will cater
You
to
have to
whoever they
make
want to
them.
cater to that's going to keep them in that office.
Yes. And
They're going to show
keep
up,
the peace and
smile,
go with
be
the
at the
flow.
event.
And
They're
one of
going
the
to show up,
reasons,
smile, be at the events, and you think that they're for the best interest because they're at every single event. They must be doing something for the community.
one of the reasons
Are they?
one of the reasons a lot of them have this security is because there is nothing but 3 to 6% of the populated vote that is coming out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
They are
Yeah.
comfortable with, well, let
Right.
me say that. Let me say this instead of saying that the 3 to 6% of the vote is coming out. 3 to 6% of the vote is only
Bigots.
reported.
Right.
That's where the cushion and comfort comes in.
And
Yeah.
all of
It's
that
because
mess everywhere causes people
they
not to
have
even bother to vote.
security in the
Yeah.
3 to 6% of the populated vote to come out. Period. Period. That's where their security comes in at. And if you get a local election where you have 23% of the vote come out, and you know that you feel within you
Yeah.
23% of the vote showed up, but you just don't have record to show it, they're going to report to you 3 to 6%.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
We need the entire community to band together. It
No.
can't be
Yeah.
me
No.
out there screaming, calling people names,
already
demanding
bandaged,
answers,
y'all. We
and you
already
guys doing it, but
bandaged.
nobody else.
We're not only
5 of us aren't going to get it done.
We're bandaged. We getting our ass whipped out here.
Yeah.
We're not just bandaged. We're bandaged, y'all. And if
Yeah.
you realize what I'm saying about a bandage, we wrapped in this shit together. You feel me?
Yeah.
So like the moment for, I guess like the moment for us is not just in finding the the individuals that we can pull out. No, you got to dig this bitch out at the, excuse my expression.
Yeah,
You got to
It's
dig
okay.
this out at the
Is
root.
what it is.
it
You
is.
got to
Right.
dig this out at the root.
Yeah,
And if you can't dig it out at the root, if you can't remove this particular cancer, cut it off.
yeah. That's why I say. That's why I say fire them all. Fire,
Right.
clean house.
That's
You cannot
exactly what needs to
allow.
happen.
You can't allow somebody that was above another department to now move up, because then everybody below him is his friend. We're not going to get rid of anything. We're not going to remove the cancer. We're going to just promote the cancer as
No,
long as we
But I'm
keep
saying,
on
but I'm
this
Only
saying,
way.
one rotten
what,
apple to ruin the bunch.
what the
One.
thing you guys said that just really amazed me most was that we not even producing our own workforce.
Yeah, no,
I mean, all y'all who come to the same meetings and
leverage,
take the
bro.
same pictures and everything. I
And
mean, it would,
yeah, yeah. They
you
do
would
that.
think that in this whole America first and this whole nationalism, we're gonna do some shit for ourselves. That you would at least take care of the folk who can
all right,
govern your city. Grow
right,
them folk first.
right.
All they do with them is get them a 2% raise, and their insurance eat that up because
Yeah,
their insurance go up. So they,
yeah,
just like the teachers, got a 3% raise, and their insurance gonna eat that up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
the only
however
way.
many percent they got, their insurance gonna eat that up, and then
What,
some. I think their
what,
insurance went up 6%.
what was Kyle's? Because everybody's stuff went up 3%. So Kyle got a 3% raise before he
No,
burned out. So then
no,
that helped
Kyle
out
got
his.
so much more than 3%. Oh my God,
Oh
he
yeah,
got
yeah. Well, I mean,
29,000 in retirement, and
that's
it was directly into his
right.
account.
Well, that's what I was about to say. Is all that helped him out also with his retirement, whatever pension or whatever else. That helped out with what percentage now. It wasn't going to be this much he was taking home. Now it's now going to be this much because he got that 3% before he decided on bailing out. If he
There,
was going to bail out from that position, he wanted to do that way ahead of time, and he
and he
just
did.
got that 3% raise and got the hell out then.
He did, and
Yeah,
that's another thing. We've got
and the
four
council
people.
allowed it.
Yeah,
The
well, yeah,
council
because
allowed
they're
it.
directly. Listen, we got four people that are directly under council. Council hires and fires them, plain and
Yep.
simple.
Who is
If
that?
once a year, jeepers, the lawyer,
City manager,
Lawyer,
city
yeah,
clerk,
manager.
lawyer,
city attorney,
community
and chief
development,
Yep,
city
magistrate.
management,
yep.
right? City manager.
So
Yeah.
instead of doing performance evaluations, and this comes from Mr. Getz, instead of doing
Uh-huh.
performance evaluations, the four of them go in collectively and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. And in one vote, yes or no, they either get it or they don't. And every year since Getz has been sitting in that chair, he's the only one who says no.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Just going
So
in
now
whatever
me,
they want.
I'm going back to me. I'm going back to me being dumb citizen. So when is this vote coming up? And really, well, even before we get to that, so now that I know city manager is important, what is it about these individuals that I should look at that make them in my best interest? I mean, I'm
Anything
not
that they.
Experience.
let's just cut to the chase. If
Mhm.
some folk vote, they gonna call and ask you, who I vote for?
and they do.
Mr.
Well, you got to
Terry,
look
who I
at.
vote? Mr. Terry, who I vote for?
You,
I mean, I'm just saying,
yeah,
and we're not
you,
gonna come out here and tell folk who to vote for, but we can at least tell folk,
Why?
to those folk are
why
not
you
in
like them?
why or
Yeah.
why
Well,
in their
well,
best interest.
right. Well, like I said with Chris Boone, is what literally has he done to develop the community?
I asked
And
a
if
couple
if
people that
two
had no
thirds
answer.
of the community is felon, and only one particular part is passing and getting better and this and that, while everybody else is still remaining the same. Now, you mean to tell me you want to run new lines and new everything and new sidewalks all in one particular area, but yet the other areas that have older, you want sidewalks in one area that's newer, But yet the older areas, wouldn't that mean that they were suffering longer without sidewalks? So shouldn't they be first in line because they've been waiting in line to get on that ride for all this time, and then they were short, and then now they've grown, and now they're mature, and now things have moved past them, but yet they're still waiting in that line to get treated right. But yet you mean to tell me you're going to build a sidewalk, $329,000 for one sidewalk? Then I requested what it took to do two sidewalks that were about the same distance, and they don't even have the cost. They don't even know what the cost was. They didn't send me the records. They didn't provide the records for a sidewalk on both sides of Delaware that goes to Major from Dowling, but yet you only provided these short little bursts of sidewalks and new driveway where they had to rip that up. That small section cost $329,000. Imagine how much these two long sidewalks cost that literally nobody but joggers go on. And in the communities that need sidewalks for handicap access, elderly, children, mothers with baby strollers that have to pull their strollers over the railroad tracks on loose gravel, and I've seen it, so it's not me just imagining stuff. Wheelchairs that have to enter the roadway to go around a railroad track because they don't have a sidewalk to cross over. And I'm talking about 20 feet, 20 to 60 feet in most of all cases. It's 20 to 60 feet, and you can't connect sidewalks. But TxDOT on College, theirs is ADA, everything requirements. They did theirs by the book. Beaumont borrowed money, or they received money from the federal government with FEMA. They were supposed to do all these things correct to standards of ADA. They didn't even connect the sidewalks. They left the sidewalks and no planking. No. Now, Mike Getz says, oh, well, you'd be amazed. It's the railroad. The railroad told me it's the city. The Texas governor said that should be an easy fix from the council. I requested just recently, and I'm waiting on 10 days for it to come through, is every email sent between the city manager, the community development supervisor, former Chris Boone, or still Chris Boone if he's acting capacity still for that, all the council members and any other department that has anything to do with looking into and talking about and find out if they have even raised the question. So whenever they say, oh, it's this and oh, it's that, are you even talking about it? So whenever those emails come to me that show that they haven't even discussed it, looked into cost or planning of these things, then I can call BS on every single one of the council members, the city manager, past and present, or acting city manager, community development personnel, past and present, or intern or interim of that position. I can call BS on all their positions because they are not doing the basics while they still fund the West End for everything that they want. We have people that are lacking in communities and have been lacking for decades, while we have one particular community that's getting treated like prince, king, queen.
I wish I could agree with you, but the West End is like a pig.
It's
It's
bad.
been dressed up to look like
I was about to say that's
like it's
dressed
a
Oh,
up.
prince. And
I
you know, I
believe
live
that
here.
definitely in certain areas. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't
it's a
mean a
lot of
complete West
You
End.
don't report
I
the
mean,
amount of crime that
should
goes
take
on
that
out
charge.
there.
crime.
A
You
lot of
talking?
people feel like they're in a safe place.
You know what those
They don't
sidewalks
like to
that they
report
building? Those sidewalks lead
the
to.
amount of
It's
registered
even a
sex
little bit
offenders that live
more
out there.
What's that?
dangerous.
Yeah, those sidewalks that y'all talking about. Those sidewalks lead to people's houses that can't flush their commode. They
Yeah.
get water in their house when it rains. I don't care about a
So
sidewalk. I'm not
so
saying they're
so
not
do you
important.
so do you think that city leaders are okay that people live outside of Beaumont and work inside of Beaumont?
I
And
think
that
they okay with it.
I mean, they
Because
have
on the
to be.
application of
They
Beaumont's
can't be racist.
hiring, it says, "Do you live within? I think it's like 25 miles distance to
right.
Beaumont,
That's
But I'm
and
considered.
saying,
or with
That's
so I'm
considered to
saying
be
so
racist
within there. So I'm
or a
saying that
bias. And
decision.
a city government can't be biased about who it hires. If that individual is from Beaumont, fine. If they're not, fine. The city of Beaumont cannot be biased on who it hires.
I thought we were
Right.
supposed to give
Right.
Beaumont
No.
residents precedence.
Understanding that there is a process that we think that our city government should take into consideration. But as far as the city saying, "Oh well, we can't hire you because you live in
Well,
Lumberton,"
but doesn't council
or
work the same way
No.
for election?
like that
No.
would
Yeah,
be
no, council
No.
did
But
what they
what I'm
tried to live
saying
there.
is no. But what I'm saying is right. They're having to hire because the pool of resources are limited.
I
correct.
doubt.
Or they
But
choose
I,
to
at the
I
limit the
same
think we
pool
have
of
enough
same
resources.
people in Beaumont
time,
that care about
but
Beaumont.
but at the
Let's
same
see.
time, you are not implementing the right amenities that people with those resources would want to call Beaumont home, and
I
that's what
think
I'm saying.
I think they are limiting the resources that they have here. They're limiting the expectation of the resources that they have here.
Do either
Not
one of the candidates
not
that
only
are Chris
that, they
Boone
are not even
live
looking
here?
at the potential of the resources that they have here.
Right.
Most contractors get looked over, and I'm talking about local contractors.
Yeah.
Most
I
most individuals that have most engineers get looked over. Most people that have plumbing experience get looked over. Most people that have electrical engineering experience get looked over. Most people that have some of the top IT studies in the state of Texas, says Lamar University, get looked over. So
yeah.
you can't say that well, they can't say that the pool is limited. It's you limiting how much you circumvent from the pool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, they're going with the cheapest people possible as well.
That's
You know what
not
I mean?
so either. That's not
Well,
right
I mean, on the
either.
The
Because
contractor
council.
the
side,
implant is more
Yeah.
expensive than a person that lives here. You got to give them travel pay. You got to give them other expenses, room and board. Like, come on. That's just
Well,
because you don't live here, don't mean that you come at a cheaper price.
yeah. See, it's part of it of how they're circulating because, as I told you, the last time I was in Beaumont, uh, I came at the last minute and tried to get a hotel, and all of those hotels over there off of Walden, including some ladies, they were booked solid with people with workers.
yeah,
And I knew that at the time. Now part of that may have been COVID, but the lady told me that they were booked solid through February.
yeah.
And so
I
when
think,
you look at so then that helps Beaumont Convention and Visitors Bureau looks like they're really doing something when really, I mean, it's money shuffling
yeah,
hands and nothing's happening. I should say it's stagnant. There's some growth, but it's limited growth.
yeah. What was it? Who said that? Maybe Karen Norwood that said if it wasn't for the hotel taxes, we wouldn't be pushing any kind of revenue through Beaumont.
Yeah.
Pretty much, it's a lot to do with hotel taxes, that luxury tax,
Occupancy tax.
occupancy
It's an
tax. Yeah,
occupancy tax.
But we're going to lose that
yeah.
too if we don't get our act together because the people come here and they stay at the hotel, but they turn the water on to take a shower and
They
it's
had
coming out fine and
yeah.
brown. They
They
coming
had
back.
two or three. They
They're
had
going to go
two or
stay
three
in
people
Viter
like that.
or
And,
Lumberton.
and another issue that I do want to mention is when we wake up in the morning and we smell like it smells like somebody took a crap in our house and
Yeah,
didn't flush the toilet, that's
yeah,
coming out of your sink and your face bowl
Yep.
and your
yeah,
tub.
Yep.
yeah,
That's where that comes from.
yeah.
I just wanted you to know that while you sleeping, is you could potentially be breathing in
Oh
methane gas
yeah, yeah.
by the dose, says the city of Beaumont.
That's because the sewer lift stations we got don't work properly.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And
Whenever it rains hard,
what you
there
said
was a
to him, I
lady's
ain't worried
house
about
that
no damn sidewalk when
I ain't
sewer
worried about it.
getting on my house.
Yeah,
right.
So,
you can't. They don't
so
never
many
talk.
issues. We have so many issues that's going on
Yeah.
in this
Well, I
city.
mean
And when we plop it in the
the
lap
big
Terry,
answer,
of
the
our
biggest
new
answer
city
to
manager,
sewer
I want him to
in
be able to ascertain and plan something that he could present to our members of council, and our members of council say, hey, citizens of Beaumont, this is the subscription again from reaching back to 1995 because we behind on that time.
Right.
Reaching back all the way back. This is what I want my council to do. This is Perry. This is what you have the ability as a novice here in the city of Beaumont of what you can do with your council. The 4 people that I told you about, you could address them live at 1:30, and if you don't have the access to do that, you could email them and I'll call them. You could email them
Hey,
individually, or you could email them in a group.
hey, but just like we're sitting here in this forum right here, I wish that the city of Beaumont had this where people could dial in basically like through StreamYard, dial in, and that back room where they had the COVID extension, basically the overflow room, somebody could be set up with a computer right there and managing people on the big screen in the back to address the council while people are at work, people are at home because they can't get out, either elderly, whatever else, so can't. So anybody and everybody can actually raise a voice. It's not just the individuals that are off work or have to go take a day off work just to go address the council. Because a lot more people would have something to say if they had the opportunity or the means to be able to do it.
And I raised that
Anybody
question.
And just make the 3 minutes
And they said,
accessible
we
to
can't go
those
live
that
because people
are
swear.
online. I'm sorry.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying,
What-
if
what
I'm
was that, Trey?
miserable, if I'm miserable, and everything that you all said sounds miserable, or at least has some discomfort, I've never been taught to live with discomfort. I know people do it, and I know that sometimes they say it's just better to suck it up.
Yeah.
But if we feeling too much pain, we got to transfer some of this pain.
Yeah, because I always tell
Yeah.
you, Perry, you the one that got me out of the way I was. You did. If it wasn't for you, man, I'd probably still be sitting here just going along with the program.
But
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 when
hey,
you told me I need to get off Facebook and go to the meetings, that's when I changed.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But see
I mean,
that's the deal though. Like I told you, Terry, I say our negative talk to some people is our real positive talk because we're addressing the issue. A lot of people don't want to, don't push it, but like Perry said, transfer that pain. If it's causing trouble to me, then you need to know about it as my council member, or you need to know about it as my city or my citizens, my fellow citizens around me, because we're not in this alone, and you can speak up and make it happen. But to just sit back and allow this to keep on, you need to get pissed off. You need to allow others to know about it, and then other people are like, oh no, that's so negative. Well, being negative, that's the only way you can be sometimes, because negative is a positive point whenever you're making moves and making things happen.
yeah, the key to getting
And it's
people to really do things is to get yourself educated. Because if you're not educated and you go up and you speak and you don't know what you're speaking about, you
Yeah.
might as well just talk it to the wind. You got to
True.
be educated to know what to get them to do things. That's like they
True.
said they didn't have money back here, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden you got $10 million of money
Yeah.
that you
Right.
didn't have.
yeah.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome Tony Renfro back to the show. Welcome
again,
back to
my
the show, Tony.
I've been here all the while listening to you
I know.
guys.
no,
I
but
know.
Terry, to that point though. But Terry, to that point, that's what I'm saying. People want to keep their jobs, and council
Yeah.
people. I mean,
They got it.
they really want it. But
You
when,
got to earn your
do they
job.
ever feel? When do they ever feel the pressure?
Yeah. You got
I
to
mean,
earn your
and I'll
job.
be very honest.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll be very honest. The number of folk who I've heard, and
Well,
I know a lot of folk in Ward 3 are not happy with their council.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been hearing it lately. too.
That doesn't say that their councilman is not a good person.
No.
And I'm just saying, it's kind of one of those things. If you're a coach and you know you got a player that's playing good, it's kind of. But if they in the wrong position,
Yep.
I don't care how big his heart is. If
Yes,
he
sir.
in the
Yep.
wrong
Yes,
position,
sir.
he
Yes,
gonna
sir.
hurt.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
well,
He's gonna hurt the team.
yeah.
Right.
He's gonna hurt the
And
team.
so
Yeah.
we have to look at our city. We have to look at our elected officials
Yeah.
as our chess pieces.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to strategically place you, and brother, sister, if you're not working out,
Right. If you don't give me access, I gotta change
I
my
don't
key.
care I don't care how much queen power you have. I just need a pawn right now.
That's it.
And I don't need a pawn that can't understand pawn moves and pawn positions.
Exactly. I was about to say, I could win a game with a pawn, man.
Right.
Yeah. A pawn can take out a king easy.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
way.
Well, guys, I didn't pop up on the screen for nothing. It's
Oh
time
yeah, I already knew my
to shut
time
it down.
when I saw you.
But,
I found the study, and it was 1996.
yeah, but guys, we'll be back. We're
Thanks,
gonna be
babe.
back. We're gonna be back the first
I'll send it to
Tuesday
you.
of July.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
We're gonna be back on the first Tuesday of July. We won't be on Labor Day. I'm sorry, 4th of July weekend, but we will be back on the 5th of July. That's a Tuesday, and the following Sunday, the 9th of July, we're gonna have City Councilman Chris Durio from Ward 4 gonna be with us. So that's a wrap. We're gonna wrap it up.
Royal, welcome,
we're
bro.
gonna
I
wrap
can't
it
wait
up.
till we get out.
And we'll see you on the backside.
All right, that's a bet.
All right, that's a bet. I have you guys back on next Tuesday, July the 5th. See you then.
All right.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.